Okay, this video is the solution for the Yeti microphone not working with Windows 7. What I found out was the driver for Pro Tools, which I use on this laptop, wasn't strong enough. So I went online and I found this ISO 411, which does run with the with Pro Tools and has enough power to run the system on Pro Tools. So what I did was I downloaded that and I installed that first, and when I opened up Pro Tools I could hook up my Fast Track Pro and it worked. Okay, so here's the sequence that I did. Before I opened up Pro Tools, I plugged in the Yeti microphone. I opened up Pro Tools, and when I opened up Pro Tools, the ISO 411 All driver is the default driver. But what it does is it will install this little green icon right here. Let me get my mouse over here so you can see it. It installed this icon right here that is the control panel for the ISO driver. And you can see the Pro Tools the way I'd set it up. Okay, now when you click on that, this window here opens up. And as you can see, since I've changed it to work, that this is the, when I first plugged it in, this showed the Yeti USB. So what I did was you click on this here, and the in was green and working, but the out was red and wasn't working. So what I did was I right-clicked on that, and a drop-down menu came down, and it showed that the default setting, that the default setting on that was set at 32. In the drop-down menu, there's about 6 other settings. So what I did was, I'm running a 64-bit operating system. So in the drop-down menu for the out, which was not engaged, I scrolled down to the 64-bit and I selected that as the default. Once I did that, and I had Pro Tools open, once it did that, it told me that the settings had changed, so Pro Tools needed to shut down. So I shut down Pro Tools. And once I opened Pro Tools back up with the Yeti microphone plugged in, you can see now that it shows up as a USB audio device. Okay? So that's the way it was set up, and I'll show you how the settings are set up over here. And then I'm going to show you my Yeti microphone that is currently plugged in right here, where you can see that the USB is plugged in also. My headphones are plugged in. So now when I click on my Pro Tools to open Pro Tools, you can see excuse me, you can see that that I have recorded a track over here called Yeti Vocal. Now what happens there is these other tracks were recorded previous. Now I wanted, all my vocals are done with my Yeti microphone, but I like to have the tracks playing back through the headphone jack of the Yeti microphone. Now because this is set up like this, I can now play all these tracks back through the headphones while I'm recording my Yeti Vocal, which is right here that I recorded. I did a little thing there. You can see that it's the Yeti Vocal. Now, when you're playing the playback, what I did was you play it back and it will play all the tracks back in the session along with the vocal track that you just recorded. So you can listen to it and decide whether you want to lay down another vocal or you're happy with the one you laid down and you're all set. Now, having said that, I'm going to take you up here to the setup, which has a drop down that we're going to go to the playback engine. Now you can see in the playback engine that it's showing the ISO driver as the default driver. But because I have the USB set up in there and the Yeti's plugged in, it overrides that. And it's going to play through the Yeti, back through the Yeti headphones, which is what I want when I'm recording, so I can hear what's going on to see if I need to lay more vocal tracks down. Now, having said all that, if you want to listen to it through your Fast Track Pro, which I have right here, the Fast Track Pro and the Yeti microphone cannot be recognized at the same time. So what I wind up doing is I will disconnect my Yeti microphone, and then I will plug in my M-Audio Fast Track Pro if I want to play it back through my sound system. And what will happen is, in this drop-down menu, you can see the Fast Track Pro isn't registered in there because it's not plugged in at the moment. But if I unplug the Yeti microphone and plug in the Fast Track Pro, the Fast Track Pro will show up in the playback engine. So you set it to the Fast Track Pro, and then what will happen is you'll be able to play it back through your regular sound system. So, having said all that, I'm using my Yeti microphone with my Pro Tools, and it works great for the way I am working it right now. And I was on the web for about 6 months in all the forums. None of the techs had the answer or anything. The answer is the Yeti microphone is set at 32. Unless you do exactly what I said and set it up that way, your Yeti microphone will not work with any of your recording studios unless you're working off a Mac. On my Mac, all I gotta do is plug it in, go to the preferences, in and out for the sound, and I set each one to the Fast Track Pro or the Yeti microphone, and it works fine. So I hope that this video helps, and this will take care of all your problems with the Yeti microphone.